talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle,
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, you can follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur and X at DGoddess27. And as per usual, you don't like the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. All right, D Major is in the house. Juju B is here. Vince I am from the UK. Okay, so let's get into it. Buckhorst DC. Don Joe is in the house. Claudette is here. All right, so let's get this party started. Everybody hit that like button. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button, honey, because it's all about to get real nefarious. It is about to get real nefarious. You know, I was thinking this whole thing, hey, Hadassah, I was thinking this whole thing with Shannon. Vince I am said hashtag buy all wigs, exit stage left. So listen, I was thinking this whole thing with Shannon keeps taking all these different twists and turns. I told you all that I don't feel like his lawyer's doing a good job of advising him. He's made a myriad of missteps, in my opinion. Now, with that all being said, I want you all to hear, because as I mentioned to you all yesterday, his lawyer called Don Lemon or text Don Lemon when I was watching his show. And so he was supposed to be on there. Well, he was on there. So we're going to listen to that. Okay, we're going to listen to it because I want you all to hear what his attorney said, honey. And it was just all, some of the stuff he was saying was crazy to me. Like, I just totally did not agree with it. But before we get into it, let's talk about this. Okay, so now they're talking about Michelle Bundy. And I want you all to pay attention because we get a lot of the news first. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because we break news over here on this channel. We get a lot of the news first, and that's just a fact. Everybody else gets it days later. So now, breaking news for everybody else is Shannon Sharpe's ex-girlfriend reveals horrifying threats that he made after alleged 2010 rape. Well, you know, for those of you that have been following the channel, you already know that we saw this and heard about this, okay, a couple of days ago. So anyway, with that all being said, let's hear what they're talking about. I actually showed you all the lawsuit and everything, okay, and the dismissal paperwork. Okay, so let's get into it. A former girlfriend of embattled NFL legend Shannon Sharpe claimed their decade-long relationship ended with a restraining order after the Hall of Famer allegedly raped and threatened to ruin her if she ever spoke out. Michelle Bundy Evans. Now, I want you all to pay attention because when I was talking about her the first day, I said she was Michelle Evans. No, I said Michelle Bundy. Then the next day, I said Michelle Evans. I thought these were two different people because Shannon does date more than one Michelle, or has dated more than one Michelle. There was a lady named Michelle Beisner, Biesner. Okay, so I got confused. But Michelle Evans and Michelle Bundy are the same Michelle. Okay. So that all being said, Michelle Bundy Evans filed a $4 million defamation lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe for divulging their ongoing legal dispute on television after news broke that she filed a restraining order accusing him of sexual assault and stalking for the September 2010 incident, according to court documents. Now, the resurfaced accusations came just days after another woman, identified in court docs as Jane Doe, accused Sharpe of rape and wanted a $50 million settlement. The defamation lawsuit filed by the scorned ex alleged that Evans and Sharpe were arguing when the football star forced his sweetheart of nearly 10 years to her knees and actually assaulted her before raping her. Evans claims that she sought legal protection after the former Denver Bronco hurled threats of ruining her if she ever publicly disclosed the disturbing incident. Now, the restraining order was dropped shortly after it was filed, okay, with Evans claiming that she was harassed at home with her daughter over her decision to go after her former beau. Sharpe's legal team refuted Evans's lawsuit, which is pending, as nonsense. Michelle Evans claims her claims are ridiculous. This is what they said. Now, pay attention because they call her Michelle Bundy Evans, Michelle Bundy, and then they call her Michelle Evans. That's why it can be confusing. But if you hear me say Michelle Evans or Michelle Bundy, same person. So anyway, his Sharpe's attorney, Vincent Morris, one of his attorneys, he says Michelle Evans' claims are ridiculous and completely without merit. She could not find a lawyer to take her case, and if you read her complaint, you'll see it is filled with nonsense. Shannon has had no contact with her for many years. Okay, and we understand that she is still on probation after serving 3 years in prison. Lord have mercy. Do y'all hear this? So she was incarcerated. Did y'all hear that? Vince I.M. said allegedly for now. Did y'all hear that? They said this lady was incarcerated in prison. What in the world was she doing there? Now she's investigating Shannon. Maybe I need to do a bit more thorough investigation on her. Okay, because I find it all nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. Juju said a whole mess. Okay, say what now? And see, here's the thing. If you all didn't hear the entirety of the interview that she did with Tasha K over the phone, this woman, some of the stuff, it was obvious to me that some of the things that she was telling, she wasn't telling the whole story. For example, I already told you all how she said that the morning she went to go to the police station and press charges on the guy at Terrell Davis's house for basically roughing her up, and she said she had bruises and whatnot. On the way there, she said she got arrested at 11 a.m. in the morning for DUI. She claims that she wasn't drunk and didn't have anything to drink, but then later she admitted that she had a problem with alcohol and almost became an alcoholic, and that Shannon helped her with that. So it's likely that she probably was drunk, because why would they say it? So I don't know, honey, but why was she in prison for 3 years, honey? I have several questions for this lady, but let me continue. So anyway, 3 years in prison, and she's still on probation. So Evans, who was jailed for a 2017 domestic incident with her alleged abusive, that's why she went to jail, with her alleged abusive husband, now fears for Sharpe's latest accuser, who filed her lawsuit on Sunday in a Nevada state court. First of all, girl, you don't fear for nobody else. You just want to get your time in the limelight. Please sit down somewhere. You've been quiet all these years. Now, here you come. But anyway, I want people to understand that Shannon did this, understand what Shannon did to this woman by doxing her, by putting out her name, by putting out her OnlyFans. That was horrifying, because things are going to happen to her because of that. I still get it to this day. And I went through a lot of things. And as you can see in the complaint, that actually even stemmed from it. The latest lawsuit alleged Sharpe committed sexual battery, assault, and engaged in the intentional infliction of emotional distress during a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years with a woman more than 30 years younger than him. Now, the woman's legal team has released a pair of audio clips that they say are Shannon telling Jane Doe that he would choke her. Now, wait till you all hear what his lawyer says about all of this. Okay, now Sharpe's lawyers have pushed back on the claims, alleging that the pair had been in a consensual relationship that involved role playing and fantasy. Okay, the ESPN First Take star, who is accused of threatening to kill the woman multiple times and sexually assaulted her in 2024 and 2025, announced his temporary leave from his sports network. Listen, he said he was temporarily stepping back from ESPN, but honey, I've seen people out here saying that the man is definitely fired. I don't know where they got that from, honey, because ESPN hasn't said such, but it just goes to show how people will make salacious headlines. Now, maybe he has been fired, but I haven't seen that anywhere, okay? So I don't know where people got that from, but I saw a couple of people reporting that. One of them just this morning. Now, my statement is found here, and this is the truth. The relationship in question was 100% consensual. Sharpe, who was also a Baltimore Raven, wrote in a statement posted to social media. At this juncture, I'm elected to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding in dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. How do you want to come back to NFL? Or ESPN, okay? That's what you want to be doing. All right, anybody object? Anyone objects? All right, please pay attention. And he's not. And here's the thing, let me tell y'all something. Shannon is sitting up here, him and his lawyer, trying to paint the picture that they were role playing. when she was sending those nefarious text messages asking for baby gravy and all of that. Lord have mercy. When Don Lemon was talking about it yesterday, Don Lemon couldn't remember exactly what she had called it in the text. And he said, didn't she say she wanted some of his baby soup? Honey, I was on the floor. That's how lies get out, talking about some damn baby soup. But I want you all to pay attention, because at the end of the day, just listen to how Shannon's attorney keeps trying to, reiterate that Shannon didn't do anything. But then he admits to some stuff that's so crazy to me. I'm like, sir, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? Okay, Shannon needs to fire his lawyer, in my opinion, honey. Too bad he doesn't have me for his counsel, honey, okay? But with his lawyer right now, he's getting really, really bad advice. I don't know if this man has been paid off or he's just silly as hell. Why is he telling Shannon to do all this stuff? Do you all know that he admits that he told Shannon that it was okay for him to do that speech? When he went on Instagram, Shannon should have said a damn word. He should have kept his mouth shut. And then he said that he told Shannon, go out there and say it. They're going to believe you. Tell the truth and they'll believe you. They'll know you're telling the truth. Well, sir, I don't know he's telling the truth, and I quite frankly don't believe him. Okay, so there's that. I don't think it was a good idea at all for him to have Shannon is sitting up there looking like Diddy when Diddy said that he was at rock bottom. Okay? I'm so ashamed of myself for what I did in that video. I hit rock bottom. That's what he said, right? That's how Shannon was looking and sounding. It wasn't convincing. It just seemed like he's trying to do damage control. And when he really effed up for me was when he said, I'm going to tell you all whatever I need to tell you, just like I always do. Well, that's a shocking admission. Okay, please pay attention, but let's get into it, honey, because I find it all nefarious. Now, before we get to what the attorney said, I'm going to go back to my video where I showed you all the paperwork for that nefarious defamation or for that temporary restraining order. Okay, please pay attention. Shannon, honey. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out why isn't this sharing? Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. Now let me try this again. Okay, here we go. Okay, there it is right there. I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention, honey. Because here's the thing. Let me tell you what this says. Michelle Bundy is the petitioner versus Shannon Sharpe. Respondent, okay? Petition for stalking, okay? Temporary protective order. The petitioner is a resident of Fulton County, Georgia, okay? On or about September of 2010, the respondent has knowingly and willfully committed the following acts of stalking under OCGA statute 16-5-90, all right? Forced to have sex with him repeatedly, calls and threatens her life. All right, please pay attention. Places her under surveillance and calls to say he is watching her. Forced to have sex with him repeatedly. Do y'all see it? Do y'all see it? Do y'all see it? Okay, I want y'all to pay attention, honey. All right, I want y'all to pay attention on that because the queen be out here getting the receipts for y'all. Okay, now with that all being said, we're going to get into exactly why. Well, that's part of the reason, but we're going to get into exactly why she found that against poor little old Shannon with his nefarious self. Okay, and as I told you, she then had it dismissed. Okay. She had it dismissed, and here's the receipt for that. This is from TMZ. I went and dug this up from them. Now, as you can see, family violence. Okay, please pay attention. Family violence. Now, this woman dated Shannon for years. Okay, Michelle Bundy versus Shannon Sharpe. All right, September the 15th of 2010. There you can see. All right, so there's enough. Now, as y'all can see, clearly nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to what Shannon's attorney has said about all of this. Okay, let's see what he has to say about all of this because I find it all so interesting. Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, I'm going to put an overlay on this. All right, hold on, beloveds. Let me put this overlay on here real quick and play a little music, and then we'll go ahead and get it started.
And everybody.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Daddy.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you do with the shit you did to me.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to how she talks. You all hear her voice? Do y'all hear her voice? It sounds like, I don't know, she just sounds like she's slow or something, basically. And the thing is, she's supposed to be role playing on OnlyFans and with these customers or whatever clients. How is anybody finding this sexy, the way she talks? I thought if you're supposed to be role playing and you're supposed to be, selling what she's selling on OnlyFans and whatnot, that you would be talking sexy. You know what I'm saying? She sounds like she's just forlorn, honey. And then it's clear to me that she doesn't want to be seen with Shannon in public. That's why she said she didn't want to go anywhere. Okay, please pay attention. And then his lawyer, it literally admits that Shannon paid her for sex. Why would his lawyer say that? But let's continue.
Okay, well...
Okay, so put this into context for me, Lanny. What precipitated this, and what's the context of this particular phone call?
Thank you. The lawyer who represents this Ms. Zuniga is well known for putting things out of context and posting a secretly taped telephone call without posting a text message where she has a collar around her neck and she says, "Choke me," and without posting all the other examples of fantasy role-playing that she asked for involving choking and other forms of non-traditional sex, is a deliberate part of the scheme to blackmail.
I want you all to pay attention to how many times Shannon's attorney says blackmail as well. And also, here's the thing. Now, Shannon and his attorney are trying to play the role, or they're trying to put out the narrative that Shannon and this young lady were role playing. What roles were they playing though? Okay, because it sounds like from what she's saying and from some of the text messages that we've all seen, it sounds like they were playing Miss Ann and the Mandinga. Okay? Y'all saw that movie Mandinga from back in the day? That's what it sounds like they were doing, honey. All right, sounds like it's a race play going on, but Shannon's not going to say that. He's calling it role playing, but honey, we already know what he was really up to. Okay, please pay attention. Did he have her bend him over, spank him on his bottom, and then play like that lady was playing? I have several questions with his big, silly, nasty self. This is all disgusting, okay? This is all disgusting at the end of the day, honey. Please pay attention.
She didn't tell Mr. Sharpe that she was taping. She does secret taping. We have certain evidence that a tape that she's going to use as part of her blackmail attempt was heavily edited. And when we asked to see a copy of it to determine whether it was edited, she and her lawyer said no. Now, this out of context telephone call, you can hear her voice. Her voice is not somebody who is afraid of being choked. In fact, Mr. Shannon Sharpe never, ever choked her. After this telephone conversation, they had many times of consensual sex. The apartment in Las Vegas, she followed him to Las Vegas when he moved there. The apartment had 3 or 4 different secure access points. She had to come down with her telephone to open the gates. She welcomed him into her apartment with all that security. And this whole telephone conversation is consistent with what we put online, which is the desire for fantasy role playing, similar to what she does on OnlyFans.
Okay, so I'm going in order of as things happen. So that phone call came out, the lawsuit was filed, that phone call came out, and then you guys responded with releasing the text messages. Am I correct with that?
To provide context to this distorted drip by drip release of her secretly recorded telephone calls to try to suggest that Shannon Sharpe ever did anything but consensual sex. All the text messages, all her activity after this alleged event that she's referring to were all consensual, and we will prove that.
Okay, so then, but his response came after you put out the text messages, right? His on-camera response, that was later, or which one came first?
No, well, he immediately, I think you're referring to his Instagram comment. Yeah. I think that was a few days before we finally collected the text messages and posted them online.
So tell me, Stephanie, why Popular Pens?
Prior to working with Popular Pens, we never, ever got.
All right, Lanny, let's listen to some of what he said. This is Shannon Sharpe's response.
Thank you.
My family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent.
We're going to fast forward past that because we already know he says it's a shakedown.
I love all you guys. Thanks.
It is unusual. I mean, this is a different day and age, Lanny. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember where you didn't, the lawyer either responded or it was no comment. But we're in a different age now. Why do you feel it was necessary? Why did Shannon feel it was necessary? And I'm sure he ran this by his representatives to get in front of this and get it on camera.
Well, I'm his lawyer, and he's been sued with vicious lies that are contained in the lawsuit filed by this Mr. Busby. And we're going to be suing her as a counterclaim, and we will prove she's lying. But then I said myself to Shannon Sharpe, you need to talk to your family, your friends, your fans, everybody who watches ESPN, because you are telling the truth. The truth is on your side. And when you say it yourself, rather than me or somebody else saying it, you will be believed.
Now, do you all see how crazy this damn lawyer sounds? First of all, he said, you say it yourself, rather than me or somebody else saying it, you'll be believed. What makes him think that? What makes him think that we're going to believe just because Shannon said it out of his own mouth rather than the lawyer issuing a statement? Okay, that sounds crazy. It sounds like sabotage. Is his lawyer high? Okay, I have several questions. Okay, what is really going on here? But let's keep listening because it gets worse.
And I ask everybody to find that. It's on formerly known as Twitter, X, and you can watch him And I said to him, Shannon, the television camera quickly detects somebody who's not authentic and doesn't lie. I'm kind of an expert in that subject. You will come across as telling the truth because you are telling the truth. So I hope everybody watches that tape. The jury will be seeing Shannon testify. And then when she's on the witness stand, which she must be because she filed the lawsuit, she will be asked to explain the text messages asking for fantasy role playing, asking to be choked, asking for a dog collar, asking for his, quote, black babies. This was all a plan, taped, manipulated, extortion, blackmail scheme.
Yeah, it was a planned extortion manipulating scheme, but that doesn't negate the fact of whether or not Shannon did the things that she's alleging. And then talking about he's an expert. Expert at what, sir? So you think that it's best for your client to get up there and say things pertaining to his case? And then they put out information that they're going to use in court. Those text messages should never have been released. And in fact, that made it even worse for Shannon because once they released the text messages, that's when she came back, Gabby Zuniga. That's when she came back and then released the audio. See how that worked? Okay, tit for tat. So that was just all stupid to me. This lawyer is just not doing a good job. Right? Ineffective counsel, honey. I would have to move to get him fired. I would have to fire him and get me somebody else. Okay, get somebody else to do it.
And we will prove that in court when we sue her in a counterclaim and she's under oath.
Okay, so a couple of things. You said that you know that from experience. You want to explain to the audience why you know that? Because you've had some high-profile cases.
Yes, I have been a lawyer all my life as a litigator and in courtrooms. But then I began to realize in the age of social media and in politics that it was very important that if somebody is falsely accused, that the accused directly looks everybody in the eye and tells the truth and let the viewer decide.
So he thinks that if Shannon looks us in the eyes and tells us what he just said, that's going to make us believe him. Sir, you are sadly mistaken, honey. You are sadly mistaken. Nessie X, you didn't get your notification, beloved. Please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed. But Nessie X, I did send you an email with the link this morning. For some of you that if I have your emails, I send you all the link every morning, okay? Or every time I go live, period.
That's why I advised Shannon to go on camera, on Instagram, and tell the truth. People will know if you're lying, Shannon. Tell it exactly the way you feel it. That's my advice to people in this situation.
But you're involved in some very high profile political folks too, as well. So
yes,
you know.
I have people in politics who are falsely accused, people in politics who do something wrong. My advice always is tell all your truth, tell it early, and tell it yourself. And
this man is crazy. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Now he's sitting up here talking about, he tells politicians the same thing, honey. I guarantee you, no politician's going to sit up there and speak for themselves. They know better.
And that's the advice I've given politicians. That's the advice I gave to Shannon.
Okay, so let's go through some of these because you mentioned some of the text messages. Okay, so this is a screen. Let's put up the full one of some of the text messages here, and so there are a number of them. But I want to go through some of them if you can just run through them, Andy.
Yes.
And so we have a couple of pages of them, and I have to warn you, they're salacious, and because you know, it says, "But I cried when you left."
Swift says, in Shannon's defense, white men have been buck-breaking black women for 400 years. Excuse me? That has nothing to do with Shannon and his nefariousness. Okay? All right? And I didn't realize that women can get buck-broken. That's what they do to men. Okay? Men get buck-broken, not women. But if you're saying that they've been assaulting or raping women or whatever for 400 years, that doesn't have anything to do with Shannon. Okay, so are you saying this is his get back, that it's okay because he's getting his get back? First of all, if you're doing something illegal, you need to be charged for it, okay? You need to have consequences and repercussions, all right? At the end of the day. And let's not defend Shannon just because of other things. Let's only defend people if we actually think that they're innocent. Now, that's just my take on it, but let's continue. Listen to these text messages, you guys. I already read you most of these, but just listen as Don is reading them.
Because I begged you to put on a condom on and not put it in my, you know what, backside, and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. No means no, Shannon. Now, folks are saying that one is really damning. You want to talk to me about that one?
Yes, this is all her scheme and her plan. If she's not scheming and planning, why does she refuse to turn over the edited tape that will prove that she's schemed ahead of time, planned this, and then edited a tape to make it seem as if no means she is being taken against her will? The facts will come out when we see this tape, and he has said in this statement, this tape was edited. This whole conversation was fake. This was a blackmail scheme, a plan.
I'm going to fast forward because we already know about all the text messages. Twisted Logic said, think they are saying that they have been doing things to black women, but white men are not made accountable. Well, we already know that, beloved. The bottom line is it still doesn't have anything to do with Shannon, okay? That's my point. I know exactly what they're trying to say. And we already know how black women are so disrespected. That has nothing to do with what Shannon is accused of, okay? Shannon is nefarious. He's a sexual deviance, in my opinion, all right? Now, I don't know if he raped this woman and did it against her will without consent, but what I do know is that his lawyer said that he was paying her for sex. You'll hear him say it in a minute. And also, Shannon is 30 years her senior, so he's disgusted. Okay, I'm sorry. That's like being a whole pedo, in my opinion. So whether he raped her or not, he's still a sick, disgusting individual. And quite frankly, I think he did some of this stuff. And I don't feel sorry for him because Shannon is not down for his own community anyway. All right, please pay attention. And do you all remember, for any black woman who thinks is even thinking about defending Shannon Sharpe, and black men too, let me just tell you all something. Shannon Sharpe said out of his own mouth that if you ever see him with a black woman, he's holding her for the police. Okay? Look it up. That's what Shannon Sharpe said. Okay, so sit there and defend Shannon Sharpe if y'all want to. Shannon Sharpe don't even like y'all black artists, and mine either. Okay, please pay attention.
To squeeze money out of a man that she knew had been successful. And just at the moment of his success, she made blackmail money, and that's what this was about. And we'll prove that in court.
Okay, so I mean, folks, I'm just telling you, folks are saying it's that one is very damning. I don't know how to process this. Keep going. Let's go through some of these, Andy. Can I call you later? So I'm just showing some of the evidence, and this is 1/2/25. I want to be abused, Daddy, from her, saying, and this sort of goes into what you were saying. I want like some hardcore BDSM action, though. Okay.
BDS is sadomasochism. She sent photographs that we could have put up, and more than we did, that are from her bondage and what she prefers. So the notion that she's now suddenly claiming, after editing a tape and faking everything and saying no while she's asking for this, as you've just seen, are our evidence of lies and the scheme of a blackmail. And it doesn't make any sense that she came back and voluntarily wanted to see him more and had consensual sex even after her claim that she was coerced.
Okay, yeah, because this one was later. That one was 1/3.
Woman, and it was live streamed. He did that, and that's up to him to explain. But what the result was, she was angry, not at non-consensual sex. She was angry because she was a woman who was jealous, and lots of us have jealous feelings sometimes, and there's nothing unusual about that. But the motivation here is money, always money. He was paying her money for sex. She gets now the flavor that she can get a lot of money, and that's what blackmail is about.
Did you all hear that? I know y'all heard that, right? Did y'all hear that? He said he was paying her for sex, and then she got a taste of it and knew she could get a lot of money. Did y'all hear that? So Shannon's is a whole trick. His own lawyer said it. Okay, I'm sorry. Isn't it illegal to solicit services? All right. So I find it all nefarious at the end of the day. Shannon has probably already lost that $100 million deal that they were going to give him for his podcast. Okay, the ink hadn't even been signed on it or anything, honey. And the vultures already came out. All right, please pay attention. I don't even know why he was broadcasting that anyway. I would have kept that to myself, but that's just me.
Paying that blackmail money isn't about admitting wrongdoing, by the way. It's what blackmailers do in order to avoid embarrassment to your family and danger to your future.
And let me say this. Here's the thing, too. I absolutely believe that once Gabby and Tony Busby found out that Shannon was possibly going to sign a $100 million contract, that's when she decided to not take that $10 million, because they had already been negotiating that. They had already been in mediation about that $10 million, and she was supposed to get that. Actually, she was supposed to get more than that. Okay? She was possibly going to get like 20 million, but the bottom line is, here's the thing. He offered her that money and she was going to take it. But then for her to change her mind all of a sudden, like I said, okay. And then some people say, well, you know, why would he offer her that amount of money if he didn't do anything? Well, here's why, in my opinion. First of all, look what's going on now. He's the talk of the town. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's doing multiple videos on him. I think this is my 9th video on him. And we just found this out about 3 or 4 days ago. So I'm just saying, look at everything that's going on. He didn't want to have to face the humiliation, the embarrassment, his reputation being sullied. He didn't want everybody finding out about his nefarious sex life. Because remember, Shannon's always kept stuff like that private. He wouldn't want anybody knowing some of the things that are now going to come out, some of the things that have already come out. Do you think he'd want people knowing that? So he would rather pay the money, millions of dollars, to keep that quiet, to keep it settled behind closed doors. Celebrities do this all the time. That really is not an admission of guilt as far as I'm concerned. It's really not an admission of guilt. It's just like you just want to make the problem go away quietly so people don't hear about it. Okay? That does not mean you're guilty. And when you think about the amount of money, okay, $10 million is a lot of money, but not to somebody who was possibly about to sign a $100 million contract. That's probably how he was looking at it. Okay, because if he gave her 10 million, he still was going to have, you know, 90 million coming from that contract, 100, but you know what I'm saying, minus the 10. So with that all being said, I think that's why, but he shouldn't have been running his mouth, because now he could have already settled the whole thing and nobody would have been the wiser. Now look at all this stuff that's coming raining down on his behind. This is karma.
People pay blackmail money not because they did anything wrong. I've seen some reporting on that.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Let me ask you about that. Hold on, stand by. Let me just go through some of these and I'm going to ask you about that. Okay. I know you missed this big juicy, this is her ass. She says 25K per each cheek. Okay. Money again, as you say. And then he says 10K cash. I guess it was sort of joking around there. I don't know. Maybe it's real. And send a pic or I don't know, what does that say? FT me with it? Maybe it's FaceTime. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, yes. Send a pic, or maybe that's FaceTime me with it. So right. Maybe she was asking for personal pictures of him, maybe his private parts. I have no idea.
Shebra says, sounds like she was offered more to take him down. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely believe she was. And I also believe that it has everything to do with Cat Williams coming on his show. Because when you think about it, ever since Cat Williams was on Club Shay Shay, Shannon has been facing a myriad of problems. Okay, please pay attention. All right, I think that some people got together and said, you know what, we need to teach him a lesson. Okay, he wants to make us the topic of discussion, getting all these views, and the video went viral at the end of the day. And then, you know, all these people turned on Shannon. When you remember, a lot of people turned on him, a lot of these big celebrities. They probably all got together and said, yeah, we're going to take him down. Okay, please pay attention. All right.
Okay. The next one is, if you want to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me. Okay.
This is, excuse me for interrupting you. This is Exhibit A, that she's a liar. She's a blackmailer. She set him up. It's a shakedown. This is Exhibit A. She wants a collar.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you know, Lanny. Okay, keep going. The next one. Loved, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck, and so he loved it, and then keep going. And then I'm going to just read these for a little bit. But there are other ones that saying, I want you to put your, if you scroll through the Mandy, or put the big one up, I want you to put, I think she said, your black baby soup or something inside of me, and I want to have your big black baby, and all of those kinds of things that people are like, oh my gosh, what the hell is going on? I want you to put your tongue in my you-know-what, and then marry you. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's pretty salacious. Now.
It's Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, your DSCC chair, and I need your help immediately.
Can I just jump in as a lawyer? It is salacious and it is not exactly easy to read, but it's about lying. She's accused him of the R word, non-consensual forced sex. And yet her text messages convey exactly the opposite. She wants to be dominated. She uses sadomasochism expressions. She sends photographs that we have of bondage. Do you think a jury is going to believe this liar who wants money, demands money, and then in order to stay silent in the future, engages in blackmail and asks for money? I don't think the trial is going to go very well for her. And I think her lawyer, who's known for other practices, as Mr. Shannon pointed out, of suing black men, I don't think her lawyer is fully prepared for what's going to happen to her when she must take the witness stand because she filed the lawsuit. She can't decline to take the witness stand. She will be subpoenaed by us. If she declines, in my opinion, the lawsuit will be dismissed.
You're going to court. Is there a settlement here? Because every legal person I've seen online or in a story is like, this will settle. This will settle.
This will not settle. We are going to sue her for defamation and many other causes of action that involve, and potentially a criminal act, is blackmail. And that is what happened here. And we have the evidence of blackmail, and we will prove it in court. This will not settle. She is going to be proven to be a liar. My client's reputation, his family, he's been embarrassed. And he is going to be vindicated by a jury that will find her guilty of lying, and she will have to pay heavily for these false attacks on my client.
Let me ask you, I told you to hold that thought. I forget what it was about, because you were speaking. Do you remember what it was? Is it produced?
Honey, I tell y'all what. At the end of the day, honey, this man already has it made up in his mind how it's all going down, but he's in for a treat. Okay, he's in for a treat, honey. Okay, please pay attention. It's not going to be as easy as he thinks. And then he's talking about Shannon's telling the truth and people going to believe him. I already don't believe him. I think Shannon and her were having consensual relations. I do believe that they were having consensual relations. And then I think that it all took a turn for the worst. I don't know who's lying. But at the end of the day, Shannon should still be ashamed of himself either way. He's disgusting. Okay? Y'all's player said he's talking tough and full of caca. Shebrew says Shay is singing I'm Going Down by Mary J. Breon said she declined to take the stand. She would be in prison. If she does decline, she's going to take the stand. This is a civil case. No, if she declined to take the stand, she wouldn't be in prison, beloved. She would just get her case dismissed, okay, for refusing to testify. That's how that would work. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Diddy. First of all, let's talk about Ray J. Ray J needs to sit down somewhere. Ray J is confident Diddy will beat the ass trafficking charges. Okay, Ray J, we should listen to you. Why? Okay, so Ray J is backing Diddy to come out on top in his upcoming ass trafficking trial. Speaking on Sneako's stream, he said Puffy about to get out too on the dead homies, Ninja. Why is Ray J talking like he's a Crip or a Blood on the dead homies? You don't have any dead homies, okay? Do y'all hear this? This is nothing but cosplay. It always gets me when some of these little celebrities who know they're not tough and rough, who know they're not from the streets, want to try to emulate it on the dead homies, Ninja. Ray J, who are your dead homies, okay? Lamont Bentley, the guy that played on Moesha with you, I mean, who are you talking about here, kid? Please sit down, okay? But let me continue. So anyway, Ray J went on to call the charges weak, stating all that ish they're trying to charge that ninja for is nonsense, bro. He did something bad that we all seen, and that ish is unacceptable. But that's not what the charges are for. The charges are weak, and it's not funny, and it's not okay. Ray J, sit your little... and don't even get me started with Ray J. Somebody come get Brandy's brother. Shannon done got himself in a shitty situation. He sure has, honey. He absolutely has. All right. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Ray J said it's not funny and it's not okay. Now, as you know, Ray J didn't hold back when Cassie's accusations against Diddy first dropped. He called the allegations of the alleged actions unforgivable and said everybody messes up, but we can't be cool after that. Never being able to be around us in our world because we don't condone that. It's definitely a fact. That's effing unacceptable. I've never, ever seen nothing like that in my life. Ray J, you literally pushed Princess in the pool on Love and Hip Hop. You pushed her in the darn pool. What are you talking about? You never saw anything like that. Sit down somewhere, honey. At one point, he said the homie need a public whipping. 100 lashes, 1,000 lashes. That'll help. Do y'all hear this fool? Ray J is a fool. Do y'all hear it? Now he's sitting here talking about Diddy needs 1,000 lashes. That'll help. Can you imagine somebody trying to give Diddy some damn lashes? This is all crazy. But after running into Diddy's sons at a Halloween party last year, Ray J's attitude seems to have changed. Oh, and it did, okay? His recent comments show a much more supportive tone toward the bad boy mogul. Honey, they done got him in check real quick. That's what I'm saying. He's not tough and rough. Okay, Ray J, if you don't sit your little short self down some damn where, try to act like you just out here gang banging, talking about old dead homies and stuff. Sounds so darn silly. But anyway, now let's talk about French Montana. French Montana walks off when he's asked about Diddy by a reporter, sends his bodyguard to make sure that part is omitted from the interview. So a clip of French Montana avoiding questions about Diddy recently went viral on X. For the unversed, the rapper was previously signed to Diddy's Bad Boy Records, but parted ways with the label following the release of his 2021 album, They Got Amnesia. Honey, I couldn't tell you any French Montana songs or albums, but let me continue. Now, on April the 24th, the X account, at Art of Dialogue, reposted a TikTok video showing a person presumed to be a reporter running into French Montana and his bodyguards at an airport. The person filming made conversation with Montana, asking the rapper if he had plans to attend the 2025 Met Gala. Now, the topic soon shifted to Sean Diddy Combs, with the person asking, I gotta ask, man, this year's been crazy. Have you heard? Have you talked to Diddy at all? They think they're so slick. Anybody who was friends with Diddy or hanging out with Diddy or whatever, signed by Diddy or whatever, they should already know what time it is when the reporters are walking up. So I would just turn to go the opposite direction if I don't want to talk to him. French Montana responded only with a smile and turned away. He could be heard saying, come on, man, as he and his team headed toward the escalator. The interviewer then wished him well and turned away. But one of Montana's bodyguards asked if he was filming and told him not to put that last part, referring to the questions about Diddy. Diddy was arrested in 2020. Okay, we all know. So anyway, they say French Montana left Bad Boy Records on great terms. Okay, enough about that. Now let's talk about what else Diddy is up to. Okay. The likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now listen to this. I'm not going to read this whole thing because this is a whole lot of information. This is a whole lot of information. Hold on. I'm just going to get into some of it. Let's talk about the uncharged acts. Okay, because remember I told you all, this is how Harvey Weinstein was able to successfully get a retrial, because they had people who had nothing to do with the criminal case come in and testify against him. Okay, so with that all been said, they used that during the appeals process, which I think Diddy's going to do the same thing. Okay, I don't see why they wouldn't. They've constantly brought up Weinstein's case. Combs' defense on April the 7th asked Judge Subramaniam to block prosecutors' recently announced plan to present evidence of prior uncharged acts of sexual assault by Combs. Now, these are entirely new, untested, uncorroborated, and uninvestigated allegations, according to a 39-page memo. The government should not be permitted to pollute the trial with decades of dirt and invite a conviction based on propensity evidence with no proper purpose for painting Mr. Combs as a bad guy who must have committed the charged crimes. Now, they know they need to sit down. They're clearly reaching, okay? Diddy is a whole criminal, and we all know it. So Combs' lawyers argued Rule 413 of the Federal Rules of Evidence allows for uncharged bad acts only if a defendant is formally charged with sexual assault, which Combs is not. So remember, that's why they're not supposed to be trying to use prior bad acts, okay? Things that Diddy did, or he was accused of assaulting people in civil cases, that is not supposed to be allowed in because he's not charged in that, is what his attorneys are saying. That's their argument. So his 5 charges are racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of trafficking, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. Okay, so they're saying since that was not in any of the indictments, anything about sexual assault, that they should not be able to have these people testify. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through some of this. The government was clearly in a position to include every one of these 4 alleged victims in its February the 1st of 2025 Enterprise letter. In the Enterprise letter, had it truly believed the evidence was relevant to its direct case, but it didn't. According to the letter from Shapiro, the public version of which is heavily redacted, the defense should not be forced to defend against these late-breaking allegations on the event of trial when the government is at fault. So this is what his attorneys are saying. Now, victim anonymity. So prosecutors asked the judge on April the 4th to allow the women identified in the indictment as victims 2, 3, and 4 to testify under pseudonyms. Victims 1, meanwhile, of course, that's Cassie. She's going to say her name. Now, the government's request would also contravene the public's and press's First Amendment and common law rights of access for a trial of immense public interest in which there could not be a stronger need to enforce these rights, according to a 22-page response that they filed on April the 17th. Because they're basically saying that the only one that wants to speak under their own name, of course, is Cassie. Now, attorney appeals anonymity rejection to avoid sanctions. Meanwhile, attorneys in a civil case against Diddy have announced their intent to appeal a Southern District of New York judge's order rejecting anonymity for the plaintiff. The lawsuit is from a woman who claims that Diddy raped her in 1991 in the locker room of a charity basketball event in City College in New York City. Now, U.S. District Judge Jennifer Rockon rejected anonymity in a 12-page order issued on March the 27th. Plaintiff's attorney, Antony Curis, filed notice of her appeal to the Second Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals on April the 17th. Now, Curis recently avoided sanctions in another lawsuit against Diddy, in which she falsely told Judge Mary Kay Vickerseal that the attorney working with her, Tony Busby of Texas, had never been denied admission to a court when he'd recently been denied admission to the Southern District of New York. That was a lie. Okay, according to a court reporter's transcript, Curis took a different tone in the April 14th hearing than the somewhat belligerent and contemptuous one the judge said she took in the letter. Because remember, I told you she was getting real smart with the judge, being real snippy. And I'm like, girl, you and Tony Busby are dead wrong. She says, I can't express how sorry I am to this court. Okay, Vickerseal reminded Curis that she also took issue with her filing documents signed by Busby when he wasn't even admitted into the Southern District of New York. And rather than just taking to heart in my calling to your attention potential issues, which may be happening in other cases as well, you chose to double down. This is what the judge told her. And you filed a letter with the court saying, I reviewed everything and I approve it for accuracy. Yeah, she was talking trash to the judge. I knew this was going to come back to bite her in the butt. I don't know how you could have reviewed the Pro Hoc Vice application and confirmed its accuracy when right on top of your affidavit, which is undated, simple, as signed, there was an affidavit from BuzzFeed saying that he had been denied admission to the Southern District of New York, which is directly at odds with what he reportedly told you. So basically saying BuzzFeed lied and you didn't even know that he lied because you clearly didn't review it like you said. Kira said she meant to say BuzzFeed had never been rejected, admission by any other court. The affidavit was missing one operable word, and that's other, she said. Now she's trying to change it like she just made a little mistake. Oh, I just left out a word. Lady, you lied. The affidavit was missing an operable word, other. This is my mistake. I apologize. You are 1000% right. It was missing a very important word, and it's not right. That's what the judge told her. Vickersill told Curis, it is not my want to sanction lawyers, and said she was declining to do so here because she could have sanctioned her for lying, and for letting BuzzFeed sign in under her credentials. Now, but I do take seriously lawyers' duties to the forthcoming and truthful with the court. You've heard it a million times, but the most important thing in the world, is your own personal integrity and reputation, the judge says. Now, Combs' lawyers in March subpoenaed Warner Brothers seeking material related to the Fall of Diddy docuseries, including raw and unedited footage from interviews, all diary entries, journals, narratives, or notes provided by interviewees, and records of any financial payments made to certain people. Now, his lawyers withdrew the request for everything but the interview outtakes. Then Warner Brothers' lawyers moved to quash the subpoena from those. So their 9-page memo supporting their motion argued the request was overly broad, and some of the information sought is protected by the reporter's privilege that applies to unpublished news gathering materials. Now, Combs' lawyers said in opposition that they need the raw interviews because in a few weeks, these witnesses are expected to testify about the same subject matter that they discussed in their documentary interviews. But while Warner Brothers accepted their stories at face value, their testimony at trial will be subject to cross-examination. And part of the cross-examination will involve impeachment with their prior inconsistent statements, according to the 21-page opposition. Now, Mr. Combs seeks the raw footage for their interviews precisely so that he can effectively cross-examine these anticipated witnesses with their prior statements about the same subject matter. Basically trying to catch them in lies, like I told you. Basically trying to catch them in lies, because if they said one thing during their interviews for the documentary, and then they get in court and say the same thing, but then when they start getting cross-examined, their story could fall apart. You see, it's easy to say things and tell a story and paint a whole narrative when there's no one to oppose anything that you're saying, where there's no one to, debunk anything that you're saying. You can just tell your whole story. I mean, it's easy for anybody to tell a story that's one-sided when they're only hearing your version of the events and details. So basically, if anybody told any lies in that documentary and they get up there on that witness stand and tell those same lies or try to change the story, that's going to totally destroy their credibility. And that's what Diddy's hoping for, because remember what Diddy said months ago? I only need one. That's what Diddy knows. He only needs one juror to believe that it's all bullshit. That's all he needs. So with that all being said, now they go on to say, while Warner Brothers accepted their stories at face value, Judge Subramaniam said Friday the information sought is significant, according to reporter Matthew Russell of the Inner City Press, and overcomes reporter's privilege. Now, Combs' attorneys also subpoenaed Ventura in March for all drafts of her memoir, autobiographies, narratives, diaries, journals, or notes, as well as communication about plans to publish or threaten to publish such a document. They also sought 10 months of bank records from 2023. Ventura's lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, asked Judge Subramaniam to quash the subpoena and said Combs' lawyers hadn't demonstrated why the information was needed. Defendant may argue that the documents sought pursuant to both requests could have some bearing on redacted motives for testifying in this matter. Now, according to a 10-page memo filed on April the 17th, Buddy says, however, arguments that documents may or might help impeach a witness's credibility or demonstrate bias or motive are too speculative to support a Rule 17 subpoena, quoting a 2008 District of Oregon case. So he referenced a case that already happened that had a similar issue. So he's basically saying, listen, they're telling us they want her information, but we don't know exactly why they need it. If they're going to try to say, prove that she's not credible or whatever, that's one thing. But why do they need so many of these things, such as her bank statements and all of that? I was just wondering about the bank statements of Diddy's trying to see what she had in her account before they settled and gave her the 30 million or however much they gave her, because he wants the records from 2023 and they gave her money in November of 2023. So what's he need to know? Because he already knows that she had that 30,000. So I think he wanted to see what she really had going on before then, because maybe that's why she was prompted to go ahead and sue him, because maybe they were broke or something is what he's trying to figure out. Or maybe he's trying to see if somebody else slipped her some money to come after him. Who knows what Diddy's motive is, honey? But I'm sure it's nefarious. Now, with that all being said, prosecutors supported the motion to quash in a 2-page letter that said Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 17C does not provide a means of trolling for additional discovery. Rule 17C is different from the civil rules that permit the issuance of subpoenas to seek production of the documents or materials that, although themselves are not admissible, they could lead to admissible evidence, according to the prosecutor. Now, Judge Subramaniam on Friday quashed the subpoena for everything but prior drafts of a memoir that Ventura gave prosecutors. She is to disclose the drafts by April the 25th. So she does have to give him all the information that the prosecutors already have about that memoir. And of course, that's to be expected, because any information the prosecutors have, they have to divulge that to Diddy's team anyway through the period of discovery. Now, victim 4's communications. Combs' lawyers told Subramaniam on Wednesday about concerns regarding potential evidence related to victim 4. Now, they said prosecutors were purposely not obtaining documents from victim 4 because they don't want to disclose them to the defense. So they're just saying, okay, we're not going to take that information, because then if you give it to us, then we'll have to share it with them. And we really don't want them to know what's in the documents. We'll just be fine without it. That's basically what they're up to. Now, a redacted version of their letters to the judge said the government is aware of, but declines to take possession of, the vast amount of communications that seem to relate to charged racketeering acts and communications with the defendant. So basically, this sounds like some text messages or some types of communications, emails, texts, or whatever, and they don't want to get it because, like I said, they don't want Diddy's team to have it. They mentioned prosecutors' attempt to quash subpoenas for Ventura's diaries and for Warner Brothers, the Fall of Diddy footage. Here it appears that the government has put the defendant in an untenable position, defend the case with only the discovery the government decides to take possession of. And if he tries to subpoena relevant materials, the government will move to quash according to the letter. See, let me tell y'all something, honey. Diddy's going to get off even if they convict Diddy, because these people are doing too damn much, okay? Do you all understand what I'm telling you is going on here? Please pay attention. So according to this information, and mind you, you're not going to find this information that I'm giving you on Google or whatever. This was given to me by a private source, okay? So what I want you all to pay attention, somebody who's like in there when stuff is going down. They'll also be in there when the trial starts. But here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention, because what they're doing is trying to cherry pick discovery, trying to cherry pick what information they feed to Diddy's team through discovery. So basically saying, look, if we don't want them to know this and be privy to this information, we just won't even look into it ourselves. They're really, in my opinion, possibly cutting off their nose to spite their face. Or maybe they're doing this on purpose. Maybe they're controlled opposition. Who knows? But at the end of the day, this all sounds real sketchy to me. Okay, this sounds real sketchy to me. Tatiana says, I too always wonder who was being Cassie's lawsuit financially. Okay, what's behind Cassie's lawsuit financially? I know they had something big, someone big backing them up. You know, it has been rumored from a source that Clive Davis initially paid Douglas Wigner for Cassie. I don't know if that's true or not, but something more is going on here that we can't see at the moment. Okay? At the moment, something else is going on, it sounds like. Now, goes on to say, because here's the thing, and I want you all to pay attention. I've been telling you all repetitively that the prosecution doesn't have a good case on Diddy. They don't. Okay, they don't have a smoking gun. Okay, they don't have a good case on Diddy. And how you know that they don't have a good case on Diddy is because they keep doing little bull crap. Why would they be trying not to give the man his discovery materials? Why would they be so desperate to not have him know about certain things? Okay, and then they'd rather just not even get the information themselves, just so they don't have to give it to him. Okay, and think about the other missteps they've made. What about when they went into his locker and got his attorney-client privilege notes or whatever, and then they said it wasn't labeled? All of this stuff is going to come back during the appeals process. Every little thing that they're doing, I've been telling you all, Diddy's team is going to use every bit of it to file an appeal. Okay? And if they allow anyone that has accused Diddy of sexual assault to come in there who has nothing to do with this criminal case and testify about Diddy's prior bad acts, Diddy is definitely going to get a retrial, because that's what Harvey Weinstein did, and that's why he got one. Okay? This is the same play. Okay? That's what it looks like, and I'm calling a flag on it. Please pay attention. But I digress. So with that all being said, they go on to say, prosecutor said the defense has no reason to request the communications. Well, the defense clearly begs to differ. How can the prosecution say what the defense has no reason to do? How do they know that again? Okay, please pay attention. They say a broad, improper request for documents to which the defendant is not entitled cannot form the basis to adjourn trial, and courts in the district, or in this district, have denied such request under similar circumstances, according to an April 17th letter. Contrary to the defendant's suggestion, he is not entitled to discovery of documents in victim four's possession. Subramanian sided with prosecutors on Friday and wouldn't allow the defense to serve a subpoena for the information. We're going to see how this all plays out. Just remember what I told you all, okay, when Diddy files that appeal, if he is convicted. Now, prosecutors filed a 100-page motion in limine that details text messages they want to show the jury if Combs' lawyers challenge the victim's credibility. Now, this is good. Well, they already know he's going to challenge the victim's credibility. His lawyers are definitely going to do that. What does he think they have a defense team for? Okay, of course they're going to do that. All right. So with that all being said, this is all interesting. Okay, so with that all being said, hold on, let's continue. So they say they filed that 100-page motion in limine, and it's given all the details. Now, that means it was basically done before the trial starts, right? At the threshold before the trial, basically, when they do something in limine. Now, the publicly filed version is heavily redacted to comply with the protective order. Now, it says much of the woman's expected testimony is directly corroborated by contemporaneous text messages with the defendant and in cell phone notes. It describes the documentary evidence for victim 2 as extraordinary and says it provides powerful corroboration of a large swath of her expected testimony. Once the defendant inevitably attacks her credibility, the jury is entitled to see that victim 2 previously wrote essentially the same things that she will testify to at the trial. Okay, so what they're saying is Diddy's going to try to say she's lying, but if he does, she already said all this before the trial even started, and they got it in text messages. Okay, so the filing also details evidence from a former employee of Combs's who is expected to testify in relation to the racketeering conspiracy charge. Now, during the time that employee 3 worked for the defendant, employee 3 kept a personal diary in which she detailed the specific incidents of the defendant's behavior toward herself and others, about which the government anticipates she will testify at trial. Now, to the extent that the defense attacks employee 3's credibility, the court should allow the introduction of select portions of employee 3's diary, which describe these incidents in a manner consistent with employee 3's anticipated testimony. So they're saying that employee 3 got stuff in a secret diary, honey, that Diddy didn't know anything about. Now, the motion also seeks admission of a 911 call from December 2011, placed by individual 2 after the defendant broke into the Los Angeles home where individual 2 had been staying. On the other hand, the motion seeks to bar Combs' lawyers from introducing Combs' prior statements and from presenting evidence that he engaged in certain consensual sexual encounters, including sexual encounters similar in kind to freak-offs with other women other than the victims. In other words, the defendant cannot admit evidence of consensual sex acts with other partners or argue that because other women supposedly consented to freak-offs, the victim in this case must have also consented on every occasion. Okay? Please pay attention. The government is not required to prove and will not contend at trial that every sexual encounter the defendant ever had or even every freak-off he ever had was non-consensual. Okay, see how they're playing it? Please pay attention. So this is the prosecution strategy. They know that those videos that Cassie gave them of her and Diddy with the freak-offs and the ex worker, they obviously know that some of that stuff was consensual. So they're saying, oh, we're not even going to sit here and lie and say that we're going to come in the courtroom and say that all this stuff was non-consensual. We're not even going to say that all of it was, because they know that some of it was. So what they're going to say is, just because this was consensual doesn't mean this was. They're doing the same thing that's going on with Shannon Sharpe's case. They're doing the same thing that's going on with Shannon Sharpe's case, because when you think about it, they already have said that even though Shannon and that girl were having relations, consensual relations, that no means no. And just because you have a history doesn't mean that it's always consensual. Okay, and so that's what they're using right here with Diddy's case. Please pay attention. Now, prosecutors also want Combs' lawyers barred from mentioning other unrelated good acts, such as volunteer work. This is crazy. Do y'all hear this? Listen, they want them barred from mentioning any other unrelated good acts, such as volunteer work or philanthropic giving. And they don't want them mentioning the punishment or consequences he faces if convicted. This is all crazy. I've never heard such. I've never heard. How are they supposed to defend Diddy? I want you all to pay attention, because this all sounds crazy to me. Now, y'all know I can't stand Diddy, but at the end of the day, this doesn't sound fair. Okay, think about this. So they can't say anything about Diddy's good deeds. So I'm sorry, when one of these police officers like Derek Chauvin takes out somebody like George Floyd, when they're in trial, they don't get to say anything about the good part of Derek Chauvin. They didn't say anything about his good job he's done as an officer, any accolades he may have acquired, awards, certificates, or anything. Of course they do. Of course they do. So what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? I find this a very interesting request. So they don't want Diddy to be able to besmudge the witnesses' testimony. They said if Diddy comes for their credibility, they're going to whip out some text messages or something. And then they don't want Diddy's defense team to be able to say anything good about him. Do y'all hear this? They don't want Diddy's own defense team to be able to say anything good about the man. That sounds crazy to me. That really sounds crazy. That doesn't even sound fair. So you mean to tell me nobody, so if they don't want his own team to say anything positive about him, does that mean that there's not going to be any character witnesses to come in and testify on Diddy's behalf, like his family or friends or whoever? that nobody can come in and say any good things about him or why they think that he's a good person. So nobody can do any of that. I'm just curious. This all sounds crazy. But anyway, let me continue. So, goes on to say, defendants should be prevented from raising any arguments. Oh, and then they also don't even want them to mention the punishment or consequences he faces if convicted. How do you not do that? Should the jury be privy to that information before they decide guilt or innocence? I've never heard such. But anyway, they go on to say, similarly, the defendant should be prevented from raising any argument or evidence that the defendant has already suffered any consequences, whether personal or professional, through being charged with crimes. Such arguments have no relevance other than to seek sympathy and implicitly suggest that the jury should acquit because the defendant has already suffered enough. In short, the court should not countenance any attempts at jury nullification. I don't understand how they're going to be able to defend Diddy. How the hell do they expect his defense? So they're not supposed to try to get empathy from the jurors? Are y'all listening to this? Does this sound like it makes sense to y'all? Does this sound like it makes sense to y'all? This sounds like they're trying to tie Diddy's hands behind his back, push him in a boxing ring, and tell him to start swinging. That's just what it sounds like to me. Now, I don't like Diddy, but I can't condone this. Because if they can do some shady stuff like this to him, they can do it to anybody that looks like me as far as I'm concerned. What y'all have to say about this? So no character references. You can't say anything about work he's done as volunteer, any donations or charities that he started. Can't say anything about that. And then they don't want him to have information from Victim 4's communications. Because you know why? Because they don't want him to be able to see what they're going to spring on him. If he tries to go in on Victim 4 for credibility issues, tries to say that they're lying or whatever, they already have the communications, the text messages. They have some of that stuff. They don't want him to even be able to be privy to that. But also there's other communications that they said, well, we just won't even touch that because we don't want him to be able to get it either. And can't say anything nice about it. This is all crazy, but let me continue. So anyway, goes on to say, additionally, prosecutors want Combs' lawyers prohibited. What? Oh, y'all is not going to believe this. Now they tied the lawyers' hands behind their back. This is what they're trying to do. Listen to this. They said, additionally, prosecutors want Diddy's lawyers prohibited from cross-examining witnesses about unrelated acts of domestic violence and or physical abuse, as well as illegal and sexual activity and drug use and arrest for driving under the influence and other crimes. Hell no. Do y'all hear this? This is crazy as hell. This is a travesty of justice. I'm sorry, I can't go for this. I cannot sit here and agree with this. So you mean to tell me he can't ask the witnesses about the defense, can't ask the accusers or the witnesses against Diddy about previous crimes, about lies they've told, other shady things? How are they going to attack the credibility of these people? That's what they have to do. That is the only way for the jury to not just believe everything they say. This is commonplace. How are you going to cross-examine somebody if you can't ask them certain questions and you can't attack their credibility? That's what you're supposed to do. That's the way you win. Yes, Terry Hinn said they railroad him. Honey, it sounds like they damn sure are. This is crazy. This is crazy. PC Dan said this sounds like a violation of constitutional rights for me. Y'all just remember, y'all heard it here first. I am shocked and appalled. But let me continue. Let me read this last paragraph again. These last few lines. Additionally, prosecutors want Combs' lawyers prohibited from cross-examining witnesses about unrelated acts of domestic violence and or physical abuse, as well as illegal and sexual activity and drug use. We need to know if these people are on drugs. That may prohibit them from being in the right frame of mind upon testifying. okay, or remembering things or having a good recollection of events. And not even to ask them about arrest for driving under the influence and other crimes. So you can't even ask them if they have a DUI. Because if they have a DUI, that might be a clue that they have an alcohol problem. They could be an alcoholic. Not necessarily, but it could be. But why are they saying don't even ask them about that? This is all crazy. Now let's talk about the expert testimony. Judge Subramaniam hasn't yet ruled on prosecutors' request to preclude testimony from Alexander Sasha Barty, a forensic psychiatrist hired by the defense. Prosecutors said that their 100-page motion that Barty's opinions are unreliable, not based on the scientific literature, squarely within the ken of the average juror, and would invade the province of the court and the jury. So they don't even want their expert to testify. This is all crazy. They said, as previewed in Exhibit A, Dr. Bartley offers the following opinions regarding Dr. Hughes' methodology. Generalizations and vague psychological profiles are of little to no value in evaluating the facts and circumstances of any given case. Further, subject matter testimony is inherently flawed because it does not involve the assessment of the evidentiary record and therefore is blind and perhaps deliberately blind to the particular facts of the case. Since Dr. Hughes did not conduct a forensic evaluation in connection with this case, her opinions have virtually no value. To the extent Dr. Hughes bases her generalizations on knowledge purportedly gleaned from her own clinical experiences with patients, her opinions are questionable, since there is limited opportunity for anyone to probe the conclusion that she draws from it. Dr. Bartley further offers several opinions regarding the substance of Dr. Hughes' testimony. Coercive control is an extremely broad and vague topic since human beings attempt to influence each other all the time. Further, coercive control may be exercised in the opposite direction, when in the presence of someone famous or rich. Other individuals may employ subtle or even not so subtle tactics to ingratiate themselves or curry favor, such as by offering sex in return for favors or to advance their own agendas. Some reports of sexual assault are false. Memory lapses regarding sexual trauma can result in not only from the pathology of trauma, but also from prevarication. Okay, the act of evading the truth. That's what that means. Honey, what? This is all crazy, okay? Because they don't like what the doctor says regarding testimony. Basically, they think the doctor is going to make their witnesses look bad and the accusers. That's what it sounds like. They say Bartley's opinions merely underscore why testimony from an expert hired by prosecutors is necessary to disabuse common misconceptions about intimate partner violence, sexual abuse, and coercion, and to properly inform the jury about the academic literature on these subjects. So they're saying that they need to just not let that person talk, the person that they've hired as an expert, but rather we need to let ours talk. Okay, because our expert, Don Hughes, is the best one. Okay, the prosecution's expert is Don Hughes, a forensic psychologist who testified as an expert for Amber Heard in her defamation trial with Johnny Depp. Honey, Amber Heard is a whole damn fool. Okay, she is a whole fool. With that all being said, I'm sorry. In my opinion, that's what I think. So this is, I don't know. This all sounds crazy to me. Yeah. Now here's the thing. The doctor that Diddy's people have chosen, Dr. Bartley. Yeah, Dr. Barty. They have it Bartley at one point. Hold on. Dr. Barty. Dr. Barty does not agree with their expert, the prosecution's expert, Dr. Hughes. Dr. Barty doesn't agree with this stuff Dr. Hughes is saying. Okay? Dr. Barty further offers several opinions regarding the substance of the Dr. Hughes testimony. Basically saying that Dr. Hughes' testimony isn't worth a hill of beans. Okay, so they definitely don't want that red. This is all crazy. Honey, y'all let me know what y'all think, because I find it interesting. Desmond said, Grand Rising Rose, happy solar return to me. Happy birthday, Desmond. Okay, that's my chief moderator. Shout out to Desmond. Happy birthday. All right, glad you made it to your destination safe, beloved. And thanks for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Honey, this is all a hot mess. Okay, we'll just see how it all pans out. All right, we'll have to see how it all pans out. So with that all been said, hold on. News about Lil Durk. So now it's been reported that Lil Durk moves to get murder for hire case thrown out with claims of misleading grand jury. So he said that I misled the grand jury, honey. Please pay attention. Okay, so Lil Durk wants his murder for hire case thrown out. On April the 18th, Lil Durk's attorney filed a motion in U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, asking the judge to dismiss the indictment against the 32-year-old Chicago rapper, born Durk Banks. According to court documents obtained by XXL on Tuesday, April 22nd, Durk's legal team claims that the government presented false evidence to the grand jury. You know they probably did. Said they presented false evidence to the grand jury. Okay, so with that all being said, they say it was including song lyrics. They say the plain language of the superseding indictment makes it apparent that the government told the grand jury that Mr. Banks, through specific lyrics in his music, celebrated and even profited from a revenge murder that he had ordered, namely that of SR in August of 2022. Durk's attorney gave this information, saying this claim is demonstrably false. Now, the song in question, Babyface Ray's Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, featuring Durk, was recorded 7 months before the shooting of that Durk is accused of masterminding even took place. So anyway, didn't I tell you all this yesterday? I think I told you all this information yesterday. Hold on. So anyway, it goes on to say that on April 18th, Durk's attorney filed a motion in U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, asking the judge to dismiss the indictment. Okay, hold on. For the foregoing reasons, the court should dismiss the superseding indictment against Mr. Banks. This is what his attorney said. Okay, now he was arrested last October and accused of hiring men. Okay, we already know the rest. And so anyway, we'll see how this all pans out. We'll see how this all pans out for Lil Durk. Okay, Juju B says sounding a mess. So anyway, let's talk about Luigi. I almost forgot about Luigi. Okay, let's get into it because I got the court papers on him. And basically, let me pull this up. They formally filed to seek the death penalty on Luigi. Okay, please pay attention. They have formally filed for it. We got the documents right here. Hold on, I'm about to pull them up. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. And by the way, you know, I've been waiting for the Jeffrey Epstein list to come out, all that information. Well, you know, someone said the other day, I want to say it was a state representative. I have to look back into it. But they said that Bill Gates is the reason, said Bill Gates has been lobbying to keep that information from being released. Now, what in the hell does Bill Gates have to even do with it? I find it all interesting. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, here we go. Now let's get into it because this is the paperwork right here. Now here's what it says. And this was filed on yesterday. United States of America versus Luigi Nicholas Maggiani. Okay, so the United States of America, by and through its undersigned counsel and pursuant to Title 18, okay, we're going to skip all of that, notifies the court and Luigi Nicholas Maggiani, the defendant, that the United States believes the circumstances of the offense charged in count 3 are such that in the event of conviction, a sentence of death is justified under Charter or Chapter 228. Okay? They want to give this young man the death penalty. This is so sad, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Okay? The United States proposes to prove the following factors as justifying a sentence of death with regard to count 3 as specified below. A, Luigi Mangione was 18 years of age or older at the time of the offense. Okay, intentional killing, intentional infliction of serious bodily injury, intentional participation in an act resulting in death, intentional engagement in the act of violence, knowing that the act created a grave risk of death to a person, grave risk of death to additional persons, substantial planning and premeditation, victim impact. They said Nicholas Mangione caused injury, harm, and loss to the family, friends, and co-workers of Brian Thompson. The injury, harm, and loss caused by Mangione with respect to the victim is evidenced by the victim's personal characteristics and by the impact of the victim's death upon his family, friends, and co-workers. So, selection, site, and victim for an act of violence. Luigi Mangione intentionally killed Brian Thompson, the chief executive officer of a health insurance company, as the victim walked to an investor conference in Midtown Manhattan. Mangione elected to murder Thompson under these circumstances to amplify an ideological message, maximize the visibility and impact of the victim's murder, and to provoke broad-based resistance to the victim's industry. Future dangerousness. Nicholas Mangione presents a future danger because he expressed intent to target an entire industry and rally political and social opposition to that industry by engaging in an act of lethal violence, and he took steps to evade law enforcement, flee New York City immediately after the murder, and cross state lines while armed with a privately manufactured firearm and silencer. Okay. Ooh, honey. So respectfully submitted, Perry Carbone. All right, so there you have it, folks. There you have it. They definitely are seeking the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. So that all being said, Reggie said they should just lock him up. Right, I agree, Reggie. No need to give him a death penalty sentence, in my opinion. Okay, DJ Big Six said he's cooked. Vince I Am says they're going hard on the delete penalty for a reason. Yeah, they are. They're trying to make an example out of him in case anybody else gets any ideas. Okay, and so anyway, honey, let me tell you all something. I'm about to conclude this broadcast, but I will be back. Okay, we will be on the spiritual channel. We will be on the spiritual channel at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, tune in for spiritual vitamins. And with that all being said, I'll be back on here later, okay? Because y'all know I got to keep my foot on Trump's neck. What the hell is Trump up to? All right, and I got to stay on Shannon, honey. If any more information comes out about Shannon, you can best believe I'll be right back here with it, okay? Shannon, I'm on your ass, okay? Shannon, I am on your ass, all right? So with that all being said, Red said this will only enrage others who feel the same way. Exactly. Oh, wait a minute, you guys. It's something I forgot to tell you all. Let me just tell you all how they're lying on Carmelo Anthony online. Let me go to it real quick. They are here telling all kinds of various lies, honey, making up bullshit. I want y'all to pay attention because I've been looking for any updated information because I don't want y'all to forget about that story. But honey, let me tell you, they are out here just making up lies, posting pictures of thugs that are not even Carmelo. Okay? Posting all kinds of BS. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Y'all, they got so many lies, honey, going. Hold on. Let me find this person's account. I know one of these people posting this stuff, honey. I mean, they got some thugs out here, and they took pictures of them and posted it talking about, oh, he's ready to kill another white. Here it is right here. Let me show y'all this bull crap. I mean, a lie really don't care who tell it. Okay? Don't care who tell it at all, honey. Let me show y'all this. Okay, Mel said, Queen, the devil is busy. You already know, beloved. Absolutely, no lies detected. Now check this out. Now y'all know darn well this is not Carmelo. Hold on. This man named Mike Wallace posted this. Look at this. That's not Carmelo. Look at this. Look at this house. Okay, this is somebody straight up out the hood, honey. Some gutter snipe. Straight up out the hood, okay? Look at it. That is not the same person. See, these are the kind of lies they have going on, you all. These are the kind of downright lies that they are out here spreading. And when they posted that, they knew that wasn't Carmelo. Okay? They knew that wasn't Carmelo. Honey, these people will do anything and everything. But what I want you all to remember is this. They're trying to use this whole situation with Carmelo to exasperate or to invoke and stoke racial tensions, to make things worse than they are. Okay? They want to start a race war. I'm trying to tell you all, please pay attention. Now, what is likely going to happen, and by the way, we got to talk about Trump. Okay, you know what? We'll talk about this later on because Trump is up to something, and I'm going to tell y'all exactly what he's up to. Okay, please pay attention. All right, please pay attention. I'm sitting back watching, and I know exactly what Trump is up to. He thinks he's smart, but he's the dumbest person out of all the bunches that he's ever included in, okay? Please pay attention. We're going to talk about it this evening, okay? Because they really think that they're slick. All right, they're telling all these damn lies and then acting like they're under attack. See, the painting of the narrative has already begun, okay? Now they're acting like we're out to get them. Well, that's never been the case, okay? And they're out here painting pictures, painting narratives, and telling lies because the truth, well, that doesn't help their narrative. The truth doesn't help their narrative. A young man who came from a good family, whose family had money, both parents in the home, going to school, straight A's, colleges looking for him. That's not the story that sounds good for them to say. So they have to tell a story that this is a thug. This is somebody from the hood who doesn't have anything going for himself. They took the money that people donated to them and they used that money to go buy a house and car because they're broke. That's the lie they're putting out there. And then I want you to pay attention because there was a bunch of posts. That was just one that I showed you, but there was bunches of posts where there were people who don't look like me saying stuff like, oh, black people, they out here giving money. They gave over $500,000 to this thug who killed a white kid. That's what they say. And then they show a picture of him in one case, then a picture of Carmelo Anthony right beside Derek Chauvin, making a comparison and saying that Derek Chauvin was a police officer trying to contain somebody that was high off of drugs. Carmelo Anthony kills a teenager unarmed at a track meet. They had something like that. I just want you all to pay attention. They're out here painting serious narratives, and you all better be on your P's and Q's and paying attention to what the hell's going on. Don't let Shannon Sharpe's case and Diddy's case distract you from what's really going on, okay? At the end of the day, because they're up to something. They're not just telling these lies just to be telling them. They're painting a narrative for a reason, okay? Remember, I told you that. With that all being said, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. I will see you on the spiritual channel. I'm sorry, I said 12 o'clock. Make that 11:30. Okay, it's 10:22. I just need about an hour to get my stuff together. So I'll see you all on the spiritual channel at 11:30. All right, and then we'll be back later on this evening to talk about politics and all the stuff that Trump's got going on. All right, so with that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther. shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?